Hey, this is Nathaniel with coding-bootcamps.com again for another indexing video. In this section, we're going to pick up where we left off last time after creating and deleting an index, and basically show some different types of indexes that we can create. Mongo has a concept of something called a sparse index, and if you think about what we just did in the last video creating an index, we've basically asked Mongo to associate every record in our collection with its associated value of department. But what that means is that if a document or an employee, in our case, does not actually have a department defined, it will still get included in this index. So what sparse indexing does is it tells Mongo that we only want to include in our index entries that have a value for the field we're indexing on, in this case, department. So if we look here, the documentation is pretty simple. We're actually going to create the index very similarly to how we did before, but we're going to add this extra parameter in. So if we go back to our CLI, we can go ahead and just scroll up to when we created our index, and this time we're going to create it with sparse equal true. And now if we list our indexes as we did before, myCollection.getIndexes, we'll see that we have our index here, name, department, text, and the sparse flag is set to true. Awesome. Let's go ahead and delete this index again. And now this time we're going to look at another type of index in Mongo called a partial index. So Mongo says that partial indexes only index the document in a collection that meet a specified filter expression. By indexing a subset of the documents in a collection, partial indexes have a lower storage requirement and reduce performance costs for index creation and maintenance. So in this case, what we can do is we can add this parameter, partial filter expression. We can add in a filter here that tells Mongo what data we actually want to index. So let's go ahead and do that. So we see we have our partial filter expression here inside of our second parameter to the create index function. And now we need to define what is that filter. If we look back here, they were saying we want to filter on a rating that's greater than 5. Well, in the concept of this collection that we have, what if we filter so that we're only interested in a department of IT? If we look at our indexes, we see that we have a new index with a partial filter expression, department IT. Here's our command. Same thing as last time, creating our index on department. We got rid of the sparse configuration, and we replaced it with a configuration object for partial filter expression, which says we only want to care about records that have a department of IT. And now it's defined here. And what this means from a practical high level is that we have an index on all of our employees who are in department IT. That means we have a really quick lookup table where we can say, hey Mongo, I'm looking for everyone in the IT department, or I'm looking for everyone with a last name or with a first name of John in the IT department, and that filter, the portion of the filter that says in the IT department, Mongo can now just look at this index and say, well, who's in the IT department? Now I know I have a really quick lookup table. I don't need to scan over every record. I have these 5 IDs here. These are the 5 records that are in the IT department. And if there are any additional parts to that query, like give me everyone in the IT department who has the first name of John, well, the get everyone in the IT department part is done, and then it only needs to scan over those remaining entries to see who has a name of John. And of course, then you could also create more indexes on names and other things like that. So things can get complicated, but the important thing to remember is that indexing allows a quick lookup into our collections for specific data that we want. And it's really helpful when you're doing queries over large data or doing certain queries frequently, looking for a specific thing in your data. And with that said, we'll end the video.